Hello guys, welcome to 360 degrees tax solutions. We are a consultancy firm. We provide consultancy related to taxation and legal issues. In our firm, you can avail services of consultancy regarding any legal issue, be it court cases, taxation, corporate law, commercial law, contracts, agreements, drafting, sale deed, any kind of legal solution. You can have it over here under one roof. To myself, my name is Advocate Muhammad Wasi Sayed. This is me. A brief introduction about myself. I'm the founding member of 360 Degree Tax Solutions. I've been practicing in the Bombay High Court, and I've registered with the Bar Council of Maharashtra and Goa. I've done my LLB in taxation from GG Advani Law College in Bandra, from affiliated to Mumbai University, and I'm an MBA in finance, and I've done my masters in economics from the Mumbai University, and I have more than 8 years of experience in taxation, corporate law, accounting and audits. I started working in a bank, and later on I have worked with chartered accountants, and then I started my own venture called 360 Degree Tax Solutions. Now the topic of the video today is GST. GST is a form of indirect tax. In India, the government collects taxes through two ways. One is the direct tax and other is indirect tax. GST is one of the indirect tax. It's called the goods and services tax. It was introduced on 1st of July 2017. Before that, there were various taxes which were stopped and GST was started. And I will show you. See, these were all the taxes related to indirect taxation which have been replaced by GST. Earlier there was VAT, which was a state government tax. Then there was CST, excise, service tax, octroi and entertainment tax. Now all these taxes have been replaced in by GST. You must have heard this term called one nation one tax. So now the topic of this video is GST, and I will discuss with you a little brief introduction about GST. I'm not going to go into very technical details because it is a very vast topic, and I'll explain to you each and every topic in detail in other videos. So let's jump into this video. When GST is applicable? So first question which arises is, when we talk about GST, is when does it becomes applicable? So in order to answer this question, you need to first answer to the question that in which state are you doing your business, in which state are you registering yourself under the GST law. Now under the GST law, all the states in India are classified into basically two categories. One is the normal category. There are around 20 states in normal category. Chhattisgarh, Jammu Kashmir, Jharkhand, Assam, Delhi, Himachal, Bihar, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, Gujarat, Rajasthan, Haryana, Tamil Nadu, Goa, West Bengal, Punjab and Uttar Pradesh. There's the other category called the special category. In special category, there are around 8 to 9 states and union territories. You can have a look at it: Puducherry, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Tripura, Manipur, Sikkim, Nagaland, Arunachal, Uttarakhand. Now depending on the state, the applicability of GST depends, and there is one basic rule called the turnover threshold limit. GST basically comes into picture when your turnover crosses a certain limit. But before explaining to you this turnover limit, I would like to tell you one thing, that in practical actually this turnover limit, sometimes it has no use, because whenever a wholesaler has to do business, he has to take a GST registration by default, because he will not be able to buy and sell goods in other states. He will not, because a wholesaler usually does business B2B. So in that case the threshold limit is not of any importance. And you must also be aware that in case of e-commerce, the turnover limit threshold limit rule does not apply. By default you have to register yourself under GST when you are doing any business on e-commerce platforms. So now what is this threshold limit? In normal category states, in the last financial year, if your turnover has crossed INR 40 lakhs, then you become applicable for GST. Then mandatorily you have to register yourself in under GST. This is for normal category states, and for special category states the limit is 20 lakhs. So in the last financial year, if your turnover has crossed 20 lakhs and you are doing business in a special category state, which I have explained to you earlier, in those states, then you will have to take a registration when you have crossed 20 lakhs. Which type of GST registration applies to? Now this is the second question, very important basic question which arises, that which type of GST registration we need to take. So let's answer this question. The types of GST registrations that are available are: the first scheme is called the composition scheme. Now I'll explain to you one by one some of the features of this scheme. Now this composition scheme, there are, again, it is classified into two two situations. One is the composition scheme for a company which is a trading company. So the prerequisites for taking a composition scheme for a trading company are that the last financial year the turnover should not be more than 1.5 crore. That means if you want to opt for composition scheme and you are a trading company, then your turnover in the last financial year should not have crossed 1.5 crores. And one more feature of composition scheme is that you cannot supply goods in other states. You cannot get into interstate supply of goods, which is interstate supply of good is not allowed in composition scheme. Now the second category is composition scheme for service providers. So the prerequisites for a service provider to opt for composition scheme are that the turnover in the last financial year should not have crossed 50 lakhs, and again the same rule that they cannot supply the services in other states. Now rules relating to composition scheme, these are some basic rules relating to composition scheme. These rules will apply to those dealers who those GST registered dealers who have opted for composition scheme. These rules are: no input tax credit available. Composition scheme dealers cannot take the benefit of input tax. Now I will just explain to you in brief what is input tax. Input tax is basically that GST which is paid by a business entity, which is paid by a GST dealer while he is purchasing something. For example, if I am into the business of trading, for example, if I'm into business of trading bottles, okay, plastic bottles. Now I sell plastic bottles. My finished product is plastic bottles. Now in order to make plastic bottles, I buy raw material. So when I buy this raw material, the people, the businesses from whom I buy raw material, they charge me GST. So while I'm buying this raw material, I pay GST to them. So this particular GST which I'm paying to them, which I'm paying to my vendors, which I'm paying to my suppliers, that GST I cannot avail that GST as input tax. I cannot take a set off while I'm paying my GST liability, which I will be collecting from my customers. No GST charge. What I mean by this point is that in composition scheme there is no output GST which is charged. The concept is that the composition scheme GST dealer has to lump sum pay a certain rate of GST on the total sales. In normal dealers, the normal GST dealers, they usually collect the GST from their customers. For example, a normal GST dealer, if he sells something for 100 rupees to a customer, then he will issue him a bill of 100 rupees plus 18 rupees GST. If the rate of GST is 18 rupees, then he will issue his customer a bill of rupees 118, in which 100 rupee will be his charges and 18 rupees will be GST, which means that under normal scheme what happens is the GST dealer, the person who is selling, collects the GST from the customer. But in composition scheme nothing as such happens. The GST is to be borne by the composition GST dealer. For example, if a composition GST dealer in 3 months has done a business of 3 lakhs, so straight away he has to pay 5% of 3 lakhs as GST. Okay, so he will not collect that 5% from his customers. And one more rule is that composition scheme must be mentioned on the bill. If I am a composition scheme dealer, on my bill it should be mentioned clearly that I am registered under composition scheme. In this scheme, the people who are registered under this scheme have to pay GST quarterly, whereas in the normal scheme GST is paid monthly. Now we'll discuss the rate of GST under the composition scheme. For trading company, it's 1% of the turnover, in which 0.5% is SGST and 0.5% is CGST. For service provider, 6% of turnover, 3% is SGST and 3% is CGST. Some more rules relating to composition scheme are, okay, this we have discussed earlier also, that for service provider the rate of GST is 6%. And for restaurant it's 5%. 2.5% is CGST and 2.5% is SGST. I have actually missed writing over here SGST. Okay, I've written over here. Okay, so you have to keep in mind that in composition scheme a service provider pays GST of 6% on turnover. A restaurant owner, a restaurant business pays 5% of turnover, and a trading company pays 1% on whatever the turnover is, and this is paid quarterly. Now the rules relating to GST filing for composition scheme dealers is, Form CMP 8 is filed quarterly. This is a particular form in which has to be filed quarterly by composition scheme dealers. And GSTR 9 is filed, 9A is filed annually. GSTR 9A is filed annually and CMP 8 is filed quarterly. Details of every bill not to be given under this scheme. In composition scheme, the composition scheme registered dealer is not obliged by law to give details of each and every bill while filing these disclosures, while filing these forms, whereas in normal scheme each and every detail of every bill is to be given, like to whom the bill was issued, what is the amount, what is the date, what is the bill number, everything. And one more last rule is that composition scheme is only for individuals and for proprietors. That means a business whose constitution is LLP or a private limited company cannot opt for composition scheme. Now we'll discuss the rules relating to the normal scheme, the dealers who are registered under normal scheme. The first rule is input tax credit is available. They can take a set off against their output tax credit. For example, if their input tax credit is 80 rupees and their output tax credit is 100 rupees, then after setting off 80 rupees with 100 rupees, what remains is 20 rupees. That 20 rupees is to be deposited with the government. Okay. GST is charged to the consumer. Like in composition scheme, GST is not charged to the consumer, but in normal scheme the GST is collected from the consumer. The seller, the dealer, or you can say, is not paying GST from his own pocket or profit margin. He is collecting it from the consumer. He is collecting it from the consumer who is availing the service or who is buying the goods. Goods and services can be supplied freely interstate and intrastate. There is no bondage. It can be easily supplied. Okay, as I discussed earlier, GST, I have given over here a small formula. GST payable in composition scheme is output GST collected minus input GST. Details of every bill is to be given in this scheme. Now what are the rules relating to GST filing? Form GSTR1 is to be filed. Okay, it is to be filed quarterly if turnover is up to 1.5 crore, and it is to be filed monthly if turnover is more than 1.5 crore. Okay, so over here it's a little tricky. Over here you have to keep in mind that if your turnover is up to 1.5 crore, then GSTR1 is to be filed quarterly, but if it is more than 1.5 crore, GSTR1 will be filed monthly. Now in my next video I will discuss in detail what each and every forms are: GSTR1, GSTR2, GSTR3B, because if I explain to you each and everything in this video, it will be very long. So GSTR3B again is to be filed monthly. Now what is GSTR3B, how it is filled, that needs a special different video altogether, in which I'll give you a live demo about how to file GSTR3B. Form GSTR2, this is auto filled. Form GSTR2 is actually whatever the purchases which you have done. So whatever the purchases which you do and on which you have paid the GST, that will automatically reflect in your account. Form GSTR9 is annual return. It is filled annually. Now an important question is how to get the GSTR number. This you can apply at the government website, which is stated over here, www.gst.gov.in. And again I will do a special video on registrations, wherein I will show you a live demo about how the registration is done. Now for registration, what is an important question is that for whom the registration is done, what is the constitution of the business. Remember guys, in taxation the constitution of a business is very important, whether the business is private limited company, whether it's an LLP, whether it's an one person company, whether it's an individual proprietorship company. So this is a very important question which needs to be determined while we are doing the registration under any kind of taxation, be it income tax or be it GST, but over here right now we are focusing only on GST. So for individuals, these are the documents which you need: PAN, Aadhaar, address proof of business place, address proof of residence, passport size photo, mobile number, email ID. And for HUF, LLP and private limited companies, the same documents are required, plus incorporation documents are required, like incorporation of a company, and in case of HUF, these documents of the karta are required. The following documents of karta will be required, and in private limited and LLP, an additional document will be the incorporation certificate. And also the board resolution will be required in case of a private limited company, a resolution declaring that the directors have resolved to register the company under the GST law, and in case of LLP, the consent of the respective partners will be required. Now I will discuss with you the format of GST IN number. GST IN number is basically GST identification number. So this particular number is in a predefined format, and looking at the number itself, you will be able to figure out where this GST dealer is based. So the GST number looks like something like this, wherein there are 10 digits, 10, 12, around 15 digits, but it is not necessary that it's always going to be 15 digits. And why is that so? I'll explain to you. So these first two digits, this is nothing but state code. So 27 is the state code for Maharashtra. Now if you look at the state codes, there is an entire list given by the GST department in which each and every state has been allotted a state code. For example, the topmost state of India is JNK. So Jammu and Kashmir state code is 01, and as and when you will gradually come down, the state codes will be given a particular number. So okay, so this 27 means Maharashtra. So for every state there is a different code. Now the next 10 digit is the PAN number of the entity. If it's an individual, then this will be the PAN number of the individual. If it's a private limited company, the PAN number will be of the private limited company PAN number. Okay, now these three digits are also very important. This is the entity number. Sometimes what happens is that in a particular state there are 2 or 3 branches of a same company. For example, say Pizza Hut. Now there is one Pizza Hut in Malad, one Pizza Hut in Borivali, one Pizza Hut uh, in Churchgate. So altogether, how many entities are there? Three branches are there. So over here it will become 3. Now if any business which has only one branch in one place of business in the state, the number will be 1. So this particular number, it signifies how many branches are there in the state. Now this is the default number. It is default Z in all, for all SSEs of all GST dealers. This Z number is going to be there. This Z alphabet is going to be there in this sequence of GST IN. The last number, this is called the checksum digit. Now what is checksum digit is a very detailed discussion, and it needs a special different video altogether, because it's because to explain to you what is checksum digit, I need a complete half-an-hour lecture in order to explain you and make you understand how it is calculated. But as of now, you just keep in mind that this is a checksum digit. The last digit in GST number is called the checksum digit. After application of the GST, an ARN number is allotted, the application reference number. This is a temporary number, and later on, after few days, when your application is approved, the GST network allots you the GST number and issues you the GST certificate. Now please keep in mind that GSTN GST network is the department which looks after the entire GST process, right from registration to filing and everything. Like in income tax, there is the CPC, the Centralized Processing Center Bangalore. In GST, there is GSTN. This is the agency, this is the department which looks after your GST registration and all the back end work. It is taken care by GSTN. One more important point I would like to share with you is that a very different feature is there in GST is that all the data related to GST filing and GST registration is handled by private companies, and a bank called HDFC and ICICI Bank, in partnership, they handle the data. So this is a very peculiar feature that the government of India has given contract of handling the data to a private company, so there can be issues related to data privacy. And anyways, moving ahead with the topic, types of dealer. There are basically two types of dealer, which is the first is the registered dealer. Okay, and under registered dealer there is the regular dealer. As we have discussed earlier, that there are two types of GST, composition scheme and the regular GST. So the dealers are also two types of dealers. One, those are registered under the regular scheme, and those who are registered under the composition scheme. Now there are unregistered dealers who actually don't have any GST number. Though these dealers are actually people like you and me who are the final consumers. Okay, so as we have discussed earlier, that GST is applicable only when the threshold limit of turnover, when your turnover crosses over 40 lakhs. For example, I am a lawyer, but I do not for example, not let's take an example of an actor. For if example, for an actor charges professional fee, but if that actor's yearly fees does not crosses 40 lakh, then he won't be uh, then GST will not be compulsory for him. Okay, so there are consumers who are not registered under GST, so those are called unregistered dealer. Now, what are the types of GST? There are basically three types of GST: SGST, which is the state GST; CGST, which is the central GST; and IGST, which is the interstate GST. IGST applies when the trade happens between two states. Okay, and these are the forms of GST: input GST and output GST, which we have discussed earlier. Input GST is that GST which you pay while you are purchasing raw material or any of the services from your vendors, and output GST is that GST which you collect from your consumers. Thank you so much for watching, and I would like to wrap up this video. Please like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel called the Bandra Bucket, which is based on travel, taste and taxes. And today we were discussing the taxes part of it, and this was our first topic called GST. Hope you liked it. Please comment, like, subscribe and share.